Hi everybody, my name is Carrie with Park Seeds app From Seed to Spoon. Today I'm going to be talking a little bit about microgreens. This is probably one of my favorite things to grow because one, it is super simple and easy and very fast to grow. I can do this indoors as well. I do it under some grow lights and I have this in my shop area right now. I also have an area inside the house that I'll overlay so that way you guys can see what that looks like as well. So if you don't quite have this backyard area or this space right here in a garage area or anything like that and you can't do it outdoors yet, indoors in the kitchen area, living room, anything like that is always a really good option as well. And I've actually grown microgreens outdoors before too. All I do is I usually do a really large round raised bed, which one of the smart pots, and I do one of those really large round ones, and I just sprinkle it really dense with one of the seeds, and I go through and harvest them whenever they're, little itty bitty, and I can grow microgreens in the backyard as well. So right now it's a little chilly for me outside to grow everything that I want to, and it's just way more handy for me to have this. I'm gonna get it planted out and started, and I'm gonna take it actually into my kitchen area after I have this planted out, so that way I can watch it grow and be ready to harvest and use it as soon as it's ready. So you may not be very familiar with what microgreens actually are, so I just wanted to go through what they actually are here real quick before I show how I do it all. So microgreens are essentially just the little tiny version of a plant. You can absolutely still grow the same plant to full maturity and height, but some people choose to grow them as microgreens and instead harvest them when they are really small. And this is because there's a lot of nutrients right there in that small little seedling. Whenever you go through and harvest it, you have all the nutrients and everything that's going to be in the plant already right there in those top part of the plant that you're harvesting and eating. So you can get a whole lot more nutrients in a small amount of space. So a lot of people choose to grow microgreens for health because they are just packed full of vitamins and minerals, antioxidants. They're just so good for you. And they are super tasty. I love to add them to a lot of different dishes. I do them in omelets, I do them in salads, in wraps, burritos, all of that. And the kids eat them too, especially the ones that I grow that have like different colors and uniqueness, things like that. The kids absolutely love that. So microgreens can be super simple to get started growing, and Park Seed actually makes this really simple because they have a bundle of items all together for you that you can get all just in one click. It includes everything you need from the container that you need with a lid, as well as the growing medium, as well as the seeds. So you have everything you need all there in one area. It's absolutely amazing. So I wanted to show you a little bit about the different sizes that they have. We have the small one right here, which is really great if you are growing just for yourself or maybe yourself and one other person. This will be a really good option for you to have this small one. And then medium size. This is good for just a small family. And then they have the large size, which is very large. So these are fantastic to grow in. They are very sturdy. Can't really hurt these, which is great. So today I'm gonna grow in the medium size right here. And what I'm gonna do, get this lid off here, and I'm going to plant out this tray right here. And in the tray, I'm going to put this is what it comes with. This is the Espoma seed starting mix. So if you have this Espoma seed starter mix, this works fantastic for microgreens. You don't necessarily have to have this. If you wanted to do something just like some peat moss or coconut coir, and then maybe some vermiculite, that would be really good as well. But I really love this. It's a fantastic brand because they use all organic ingredients too. Makes it super simple. I don't have to piece it together myself. So I just take what they have here and put it into the tray and I'll get ready to go. Okay, I got my soil all prepared. All I did was open the top of it here, and then I added in some water. These bags are all completely hold water, and I held that in, and then I mixed it all up in here. So that way this soil is completely wet, and I don't want it to be sopping wet, but I do want it to be moist when I go through and plant my microgreens. So that way they are going to do as good as possible. They aren't in a dry environment, because you don't want to really plant them out if this is still dry. So I have this nice and moist now, and I'm going to go through and add it into my tray here now. Okay, I have my tray right here ready to go, and I am just going to add in some of this mixture now. And as you can see, it is moist. I wanted to make sure that it was ready to plant when I was. And this bag right here is actually going to be enough to fill up that really large one. So if you are only going to be using one of the medium or the small size, you are going to have some left over, and you can use this multiple times if need be, or use it somewhere else too. Okay, so I went through and I added all of that soil mix into here, that seed starter espoma, and I went through, I made sure it was moist here and flat. I really want to make sure that this is flat as possible, just because whenever I go through and I harvest it, I'll show you how I harvest it whenever I do it, but having this growing medium flat as possible is really going to help you in the long run whenever you go to do that. So now that I have all that in, the next step that I have is to add the seeds. So it comes with all of these seeds. It comes with a lot of them. This is a Microgreens rainbow mix. I absolutely love this one. I'm very excited for. It is going to be one that will come up with a bunch of different colors. The kids will love it. So the biggest thing I do want to point out on things like this for microgreens, it will say, do not cover the seeds. They will require light to germinate. So that's going to be with all of these microgreen seeds. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and sprinkle them on top here, and I'm not going to bury them at all, because they're going to need light to germinate, and they don't need it. So I'm going to go through and as evenly as possible here, I'm going to try and add all of these into here. Okay, so there was our first 200 seeds that we did. The next one is a Microgreens Old Mexico mix. This is another 200 seeds as well. Whenever you're planting microgreens, you want to make sure that you are planting really dense. That's why there's so many seeds that come with this. So again, I'm going to try and distribute this as evenly as possible, because I kind of want to mix all of these together. Now, you don't necessarily have to do that. Like if you wanted to grow one section of this Old Mexico mix, one section of the other stuff, you can definitely do that too. I like to have it all mixed up together, just so whenever I harvest, it's fun. I get a little bit of everything. So next, I have this Swiss chard ruby red. And this again is another 200 seeds. And I'm going to go through and get these all planted out too. And then next I have Beet Bull's Blood variety. And the really great thing about microgreens, you can really use so many different varieties of things. It's really great. You can grow so many things as microgreens. You can grow broccoli, kale, peas. I mean, there's so many things that you can plant as microgreens. It's amazing. So whenever you go through, you want your seeds to be super dense like this. And then I'm going to get the lid right here in place. So that way it holds the moisture really well and the light can come and shine through this. So that way it will help to get these seeds to germinate appropriately. And I will be having a good harvest here hopefully soon. I'm gonna keep going and check in with you guys here in a day or two and show you the progress, how it goes. So I brought these microgreens inside into our house underneath this grow light right here. So that way now I can see it. It's right next to our kitchen and I can keep an eye on it, and it's right next to where I'm gonna be using them. And I have this grow light set on a timer so that way it goes on and off by itself. So I have to do as little as possible here. So it goes for about 12 hours on and then 12 hours off. Okay, time to check in on these microgreens here. I see a whole bunch coming through right here. And as you can see, this dome right here really helps to keep these super moist and keep them plenty watered during this time. So I had them in here underneath this grow light, and I planted these out last week. So it's been probably about 4 or 5 days now. And here they are. They're all starting to come up really nicely. Look at these. Yeah, these are looking fantastic. And I love that there's a bunch of different colors down in here too. And don't be alarmed if you see like a little bit of this fuzz down here at the bottom. That's actually just the seed roots right there. We don't have any mold issues or anything going on. But that can happen too if you aren't using sterile soil or if you are reusing a tray also without washing in between. So those are definitely things to keep an eye out for. And in between uses, I always do go through and I'll wash everything between seasons and make sure that I have clean trays, clean seed starting soil, like all of that. But as for right now, these are looking fantastic. And at any stage really, I can come through and just take a pair of scissors, take a cutting right here, and then add them into my food. I can add them into so many different things. So there's many ways to go about using these and harvesting them out. One of my favorite and easiest ways to go about doing it is just by simply taking a pair of scissors and going through and cutting them at the base. Another thing you can do is if you have a real sharp knife, you can go through and cut them at the base, and you can either cut all of them at once, or you can go through and do just sections of it if you want to keep some for later, or if you want to harvest some of it and then let some of it grow. There are some microgreens that will actually give you multiple cuttings for, and some of them you will just have a one and done. Some of the ones that you can reuse after you harvest them are going to be like your legumes, so peas and beans. Sometimes even kale will give you another growing as well. So those are ones that you can sometimes reuse and regrow. So after you cut them off, don't get rid of them, keep them there, and they will regrow for you. But most of them that you grow are just going to be a one and done. You'll do this. But the great thing is that this took me less than a week, and I got all of this food right here. I can go through and add it to some omelets. That's probably one of my favorite ways to go through. I do lots of omelets, wraps, burritos. I'll add it into pastas, things like that. I can really hide it in a lot of my kids' meals. One of the great things too, I don't even necessarily have to hide it in my kids' meals because they ask for it. They love them, especially the broccoli ones. I don't know, they absolutely love the little broccoli microgreens. They went through and sampled all of the different varieties that I had last year actually, and they absolutely loved the broccoli. And they wanted me to put it in everything that I made, even their mac and cheese. It was awesome. So I hope that this has encouraged you to get started on microgreens in your area. It is super easy to grow and really easy to get started, and it doesn't take a long time. As you've seen, I had all of this in less than a week, which is absolutely awesome. And again, if you need any help along the way with growing any sort of food, including microgreens, make sure to download our From Seed to Spoon mobile app, and it will help walk you through growing all of this. Thank you so much for watching, everybody, today. It was really fun hanging out with you. Bye.